Kaguya-Sama Love is War is amazing. It has infiltrated my top 10 list, and it did it before I was even done with season 1, and there are 3 seasons currently out. I love the series so much. I'm going to talk about it in spoiler-free, first of all, just in case you haven't watched it and you'd like to hear about something amazing. And then we're going to go into some moderate spoilers while I talk about characters and character arcs. I personally would be comfortable with watching any part of this video, but I'm not spoiler sensitive. Like, there's nothing I'm going to say that I think is a big deal, but I'm not spoiler sensitive. So if you are, there are timestamps. You can skip over that, and then we'll, final thoughts. Let's talk about this story. So the premise is very simple. 2 members of the student council, the president and vice president, have very big crushes on each other. One might say they're even in love. However, for their own individual reasons, they will not be the first to admit it. Instead, they would like to use their intelligence to manipulate the other into declaring their love first, which is why the title is Love is War. Because the first to admit their feelings loses. And they use, psychological warfare to get the other one to confess their love first. An example of this is an early episode when they want to share an umbrella on a rainy day, but neither one of them can be the initiator of such a romantic gesture. So they both lie and say that they've forgotten their umbrellas, but since they've both done this, since they're both lying about this, they then try to manipulate the other one into admitting that they actually brought an umbrella, only for Chica to come in from the land of plot, offer an extra umbrella, and then skip away. This then forces the 2 out of their little warfare games and into an actually cute moment. And at the end of each little sequence, the narrator declares the winner of each little mini sequence. And the use of this narrator, plus the animation that reflects what's going on in their heads, and the warfare that they're using to manipulate each other, it adds to the storytelling and the comedy of this very simple concept, making it so much more than what sounds like kind of your typical rom-com. The narrator really is one of my favorite characters. He adds to every scene by calling them out for lying, adding context to what they're actually thinking, or just dragging them because he can. It takes so many aspects and tropes of a rom-com and accelerates them to the extreme, nearly always making the humor the forefront and never really taking itself too seriously while still managing a lot of hidden depth. The pacing, voice acting, comedic timing, and over-the-top music makes every joke 1,000 times funnier.
死のう。死にたいので帰ります。
The story is very episodic, which is something that I don't enjoy. I also don't enjoy rom-coms. And yet, I love this story because it's so much more than those things. At first, it seems like just a bunch of little snapshots of jokes. It's just joke after joke after joke. We have one plot line, we have one premise, but each builds on each other, especially after season 1, to actually explore these characters in some depth. I'll say especially near the end of season 1 is when it starts to really do that. To really explore each of these characters in some depth, as well as their relationships, as well as their individual struggles that they're going through and need to overcome, and oftentimes overcome with each other's help. These little snapshots of a look into their life that builds into the gag of these 2 characters going to extreme lengths to try to make the other one admit their love for each other, trying to not be the vulnerable one. As we get to know these characters more and we understand more of what is causing that motivation for them to act in this way, as well as kind of the immaturity and inexperience that they have that is utilized to help us understand that a lot of this is just kind of a part of growing up for them, not necessarily there's a lot of gaslighting in the show, but it's not gaslighting for gaslighting's sake so much as it is a window into their vulnerabilities or into their inexperiences or insecurities that they're operating through. But also it tackles some really deep topics like a very difficult home life, bullying and ostracization, an inability for authenticity because believing that if you're not acting, then no one will love you, no one will care about you. Most of the story is told in this over-the-top, dramatic, ridiculously dramatic way that it keeps you laughing and keeps you going, but then every now and then it'll pause to actually take a moment to focus on a far more emotionally impactful episode that focuses on the characters' depths and struggles, that really surprises you and makes you love these characters on a level that you wouldn't expect from a story that's structured the way this one is. And then it just brings you back around to the jokes and the gags, or sometimes even tackles those deeper, more difficult, more human topics folded in with the jokes and the gags, but that doesn't make it lose its impact. The comedic timing, the over-the-top nature of every single move that these characters make, the internal spiraling of we watch these characters so deeply in their heads, strategizing every single move, trying to figure out how to gain the upper hand in any kind of scenario, and then the side characters either being totally oblivious or the opposite, completely aware, and it's very simple to them. Watching all of this unfold, the comedic timing of it is superb. The voice acting, the music, everything kind of levels up what could be very simple, and then it just surprises you with a gut punch episode that leaves such a strong impact. This is the moderately spoiler section. I'm going to talk about the characters a little bit more in depth, as well as a little bit of their character arcs. Again, I would be comfortable watching any of this or listening to any of this before I watched Kaguya, but also not a spoiler sensitive person, so use the timestamps to skip if you are. Kaguya grew up in a really formal home, so she presents herself in the way that she's most familiar with. But internally, she's inexperienced, she's anxious, and full of feelings that she really just doesn't know how to express. She wants to go out and experience simple things, like seeing the fireworks with her friends, but the sterile environment that she's raised in has kept her from so many simple joys in life. And that really sheds a light on her as a character and why it's so difficult for her to express her feelings without that seeming like a weakness in her eyes. Miyuki grew up in a household of lower status and lower income, so he has to work exceptionally hard to have the position that he does in the school. He's an incredibly passionate person, and he can lose himself in his feelings. He's much the opposite of Kaguya, even though he's also in his head and strategizing and planning and trying to get her to admit things first. That can get away from him because he feels so strongly. But he's also an incredibly devoted and giving person. He believes in doing what's right, and he believes in people. There's this girl that comes in later in the series, so I'm not going to talk about her here, but he puts his own success on the line to help her because he believes that she is capable of doing what she wants to do. He believes in Ishigami when absolutely no one else in the series does. And he is talentless in many things. I mean, he's very talented, but he has many, places where he could grow. But he learns to rap just so he can lift up a friend. And he will move heaven and earth to make sure that the girl he likes sees fireworks. Chika comes off as the ditzy friend. She's popular, but there's not much going on upstairs. But that's actually not true. She's very creatively talented. She excels in a lot of things like singing and piano. And she is a strategizer. My goodness, she loves games, maybe a little bit too much. And while she's sweet and fun, she is a rat. Like, she will manipulate and cheat to win. She may not be able to read the room all the time, which is why she is the constant foil of the romance. But she cares for her friends. And we watch her over and over again teach Miyuki anything he wants to learn. Even willing to learn the skill herself so that she can then teach him. And then she stands by him as he performs. Now, Ishigami, he's my boy. He is incredibly intelligent and essential to the club. But generally, he's a loner and very reserved. He kind of has this persona about him that he's a stalker weirdo, and he doesn't try to correct the narrative. And there's a reason for that is uncovered in the story. But the gags around him is that because he keeps noticing either the setups of the warfare or notices the people or notices the way the people feel, he finds himself in the path of Kaguya's anxiety a lot. At first, But then they develop a friendship, one that he's pretty insecure about because he doesn't want her image to be hurt by spending time with him. But that's not something she cares about. She genuinely just wants to help him. And she sees vulnerability in him that a lot of people don't. There are several situations like this where he's just making an observation and it makes him want to run away from forced socialization. But the thing that makes me love him the most is his heart. Again, I'm not going to go into it, but he's a defender. If he sees that someone is potentially going to be taken advantage of or be very badly embarrassed, he'll put himself in the position of being mocked or bullied for the sake of preserving the person that he cares about. It's just who he is. I don't think he likes being the reject, but he's all too willing to take that role if it means shielding the person next to him. Hayasaka may not be part of the club, but she gets her own section too. She works for Kaguya, but she's also a student, and she has several personas that she can rotate between in order to keep a cover with her classmates about her job, because she doesn't want them to know that she's working for Kaguya. And while she definitely does look out for Kaguya to make sure that she doesn't make a fool of herself more, as much as she can, she's also kind of fed up with their nonsense and just wants them to get together already, and will go to some, crazy, we'll say, extremes to kind of push them along. Again, I'm not going to say anything more about Hayasaka's character here, but what I will say is that while she seems very straightforward at first, we slowly get to see that there's a lot more going on inside of her, and she's far more than just her work persona. In fact, her many disguises play a lot into the character of vulnerability that we see from her. And finally, Dio. You think I'm gonna make a video where Dio's voice actor is in it and not talk about that? Well, I'm not. Because he's a fantastic character. Not only because it's Dio's voice, but also because while he too is over the top and ridiculous, he cares. Love is War is comedy gold. It uses its physical medium to its best advantage to make sure that everything is constantly shifting slightly so that the jokes never get stale. The characters make progress, but they also really just can't make it fast enough. And while a lot of rom-coms can be very annoying in that, this will they, won't they lasts way too long, but the way Kaguya uses their insecurities, their backgrounds, and the extremes of the comedy to make it feel a lot more satisfying that we're delaying the inevitable. Plus, I talked about in the last section of the video, I talked about how the characters' arcs and their personal growth oftentimes is built on by each other. Oftentimes they're helping each other with that. There's so much more of that than what I talked about in that section. They really go from a group of people that just are either afraid of each other or don't like each other or it doesn't work out. And again, there's another character that comes in later as well that kind of disrupts the balance of things too. There's a lot of reasons why they don't work together in the beginning, but we watch them grow together. We watch them care about each other and become a cohesive group while still also being really hard on each other sometimes. Some of these arcs, especially Ishigami, are unbelievably satisfying to watch unfold. And I'm not done with the show. I haven't finished it yet. I also haven't read the manga, obviously. I think that's clear based off of the anime clips and the way that I keep talking about the voice acting, visuals, and music. I'm not done with the show yet. I've been watching it with Jay over on his Twitch, and we watch every Tuesday, and we still have like 2 more sessions. So why am I making this video before I'm even done with the show? 1, because it doesn't matter. It broke through the top 10 list before I even finished season 1, and it's only gotten better from there, so I'm really just not worried about that. But 2, because you can watch the finale with us. You can come hang out with us on Tuesday nights and watch the conclusion to season 3, Love is War. I'm so excited for it. That's all. I just wanted to talk about a series that I have been loving so much. Please do chat with me more in the comments if you've watched it, if you plan to watch it now that you've watched this video, if you're going to binge it, which I highly recommend. We've been taking it slow since we watch 3 episodes every Tuesday, but oh man, it's definitely going to be a rewatch for me. I'm going to end up returning to it for sure. Anyway, chat with me more about it in the comments. Please, if you're going to talk spoilers, just write that at the top so that people can be aware. I highly recommend this show. There's so many reasons why I shouldn't have loved it, and I do. I'll see you again soon. Bye.